What's going on, Coaster Spotters? Exciting news out of Lunar Park in Sydney, Australia. A park that dates back 85 years has just announced that they are investing 30 million Australian dollars into the park with 9 new rides and 3 new roller coasters. The headliner being a Intamin hot racer coaster. This is the equivalent to RMC's single rail coaster, but with a much different track design. But you do have those single seater cars, one across, but this one will have the distinct feature of having a launch. So, for the first launch single rail coaster, straight into a non inverting loop, a Immelin. The second half will have lots of twists and turns and a 0G roll. And there it is, built all around and over the park. The main difference here is that you will be seated very high off the rail instead of RMC, where you are actually straddling the rail with your feet on either side of the rail, actually. And for someone who is above 6 feet, that's actually not that comfortable. Still enjoyed Wonder Woman, just had wished it was a little more comfortable, but this will just feature Intamin's normal lap bar that we've seen on Terran and Sandy's Blasting Bronco, which is one of the most comfortable lap bars on an inverting coaster that I've ever been on. Now, you can see this track design is very different. It's actually pretty much a typical roller coaster track. It's got 2 rails and a big pipe to support it with just flat pieces of steel connecting it. So it's kind of just actually a roller coaster track that looks like a single rail, whereas RMC actually creates their track from a bunch of flat pieces of steel and then is welded together to create that box. So it's kind of a single rail, but it's kind of cheating a little bit. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It looks like it's going to be super fun. It's going to use that iconic Big Dipper entrance that's been used on the previous 2 Big Dippers. The first being a wood coaster that operated for about 45 years. The second being a aerodynamics looper, one of the last ones ever built, which was famously featured in the world's greatest thrills in 3D VHS tapes. So I'm very familiar with this park going back like 20 years. That park has been open and closed many times. When they put in that aero looper, they didn't really put in consideration that it was going to be right near residential buildings, and everyone complained about it. So it did not last very long. It operated for less than a year, possibly, and then reopened for a little while during the Sydney Olympic Games, and then was moved to Dreamworld, where it now operates with new Vekoma vest range, just like Blue Hawk. But let's talk about the other 2 coasters. They're building a Gershaller family shuttle coaster. Those are super fun, whether it's Vekoma, Gershaller, fun time. And then the other coaster will be a kiddie coaster. Looks like it could possibly be a Preston Barbary out of Italy. And then we will have a Zamperla Discovery Frisbee type ride. And then rounding off the new rides will be a camp bus, a mini free fall ride, jump around, a mini Ferris wheel, and a balloon race. So good collection of rides. And after looking at the current lineup of Lunar Park's rides, it's a lot of more classic fair rides. So to be putting in a lot of these more modern, exciting thrill rides, it's something I think that the park will really be able to flourish in the future. Its location is absolutely perfect. It's right in the Sydney Harbor, right near the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Harbor Bridge. Fantastic location for this park to thrive. Let's take a look at some other coasters that will be opening in the next year. At SeaWorld, we have a Leviathan, a Gravity Group wood coaster at 105 feet and 3,300 feet of track. This looks to be a great coaster with the last row running backwards. Very similar to what was done on the DC Rivals Hypercoaster at Warner Brothers Movie World, and also something that will be done on Dreamworld's new coaster, but with a twist. They will be adding a Blue Fire clone with a triple launch instead of a singular launch with a twisted reversed spike, and then that final car will feature a pair of spinning seats similar to Time Traveler. Just to note, most likely those coasters with the special back row will be an upcharge, but from friends who went last year to Warner Brothers Movie World, that was just like a paid pass, more or less. The regular line had a long queue, but they were able to hop right onto the backwards row on that hypercoaster. So that's fantastic, and it's exciting to see that Australia is getting a bunch of new coasters. And Australia is definitely on my bucket list to visit for coasters and scenery and landmarks and whatnot. So hope to get there in the next few years. This is going to be a great addition to the park. Their only other coaster right now is a Wooden Wild Mouse, which is unique in its own right. It's only one of 3 Wooden Wild Mouses that is currently operating. The other 2 are in Indonesia. We've lost 2 others at Lunar Park, Melbourne, and then the famous Wild Mouse at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So great news out of Lunar Park to see that they're adding some additions, and can't wait to see those construction photos. So like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Alex for the Coaster Spot. See you next time.